Welcome everybody to our weekly Capital Snapshot. I'm Bill Collistad. I'm the Public Policy Manager with the Iowa Developmental Disability Council, and this is Amy Campbell, our eyes and ears at the Capitol. And Amy, we are speeding forward on the last deadline. It is this Friday, and that's when all bills have to be out of the Senate and the House committees. So there's a lot of work ahead. So let's start with updates from last week.
That's right. This Friday is the first, what they call the funnel deadline, and all of those bills have to be out of the House or the Senate committee. But we wanted to start and talk about one of the bills we talked about in our last Capital Snapshot, the Senate File 2197. That is the bill that some parents of kids that receive special education services had asked for. It creates a task force to look at how we can better provide special education services to kids that are in private schools. So some of those kids have to go and be transferred to a public school in order to get their special education services, and this would be a little bit more like what you called allows the services to follow the kid in the private school. And so that bill we talked about passing out of committee last week. Well, this week it passed the Senate, the full Senate, 46-0. So no votes again.
Sounds like support from both parties. That's great.
Yeah.
So another update, there's been the court mask ruling, and the courts had overturned the mask ban in the Iowa schools. Then the legislature just recently responded this week with a new bill, House Study Bill 683, to allow exceptions to a policy if a parent thinks wearing a mask is bad for a child's education. So pretty broad there. We do know that mask wearing can be very important for families that have children with disabilities because they're often vulnerable. Right now, as the bill stands, the Iowa Developmental Disability Council has commented and we're against.
Yep, that's right. And so there will be more talk of that, I think, as we look forward. But the legislature was definitely responding to that court case we reported on last week. But turning to another topic, we talked a lot last year in InfoNet about the service animals. There's been a lot of tension between landlords and people that own rental housing property and allowing people to have service animals. And so there's a new bill, House File 2068, that came out of subcommittee this on Wednesday, and it makes it a crime to lie about an animal being a service animal. So it's going after people that are trying to get around the landlord rules of trying to be able to have an animal by saying they're an assistance or service animal. And so it makes it a crime, so there would be a fine. And then also it allows landlords to deny the accommodation if they feel that the animal is going to be a threat to the other people living in that area, or their own property if they feel like it's going to ruin their house or their lawns. And then it also allows landlords to require somebody show proof of a disability and show proof that you have your animal vaccinated and it's registered as it's supposed to be. And there's some language in there that says just having a certificate that the animal is a service animal isn't enough. So there's a lot of questions about how this will actually work in the real world when people are trying to rent and find housing.
So we think this is an important bill. It's something we've certainly heard a lot about. And in the Senate, Senate File 2093, there's another bill that's around the same topic. That will be in subcommittee this Monday at 12:30. So let's put a link on our InfoNet and our Facebook page so you guys can follow that subcommittee and listen in. Like the other bill, it makes representing that you have a service dog a crime. It also allows for a landlord to deny if an accommodation falls in a lot of different categories. If it's too expensive for the accommodation to be made, if it's too much work on their behalf to have the animal on their property, if the animal is a direct threat maybe to them or to other residents or to neighbors. But it can also put in kind of a blanket denial, the way I read it, that just says unreasonable. it puts all sorts of requirements on the healthcare provider that provides a service animal authorization. So if you were in the business of providing service animals, there's a lengthy piece of that in there where it describes what you'd have to do to meet, and you'd have to continue to see that family within 6 months. And we know from our conference, Amy, that a lot of people that we support and work with have service animals. We also know that service animals became very important during the pandemic. Social isolation is a difficult thing for people with disabilities, and social animals have helped bridge that gap.
Yeah, for sure, Bill. I mean, we know that animals have been helpful to us all during the pandemic, but you know, I can see a lot of people probably would want to talk to their legislators or do something about this. I can see a lot of people being concerned if a bill like this passed. What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, so advocates, you know, the best way to advocate is to raise your voice. So reach out to your legislator if you have a relationship with them, or if you want to introduce yourself and tell them you have a concern about these bills, if you do, or how you want to see them shaped if they are going to have these bills come forward. If you're not sure who's on the committee that's kind of working with these bills, you can look at our help, you know, our Infonet or our handy dandy legislative guide, and we'll put those links here on our Facebook page, and we'll remind people that they're out there, and see what committees are actually working on those bills. Again, that meeting's Monday at 12:30, and we'll have that link out there. If you want to discuss an advocacy plan, you can certainly reach out to me. Amy will put my number on here. You can reach out to me, give me a call, and we can work on an advocacy plan for you as well. So again, that's what's happening this week at the Capitol. It's going to be a busy, busy week. I know that we were both there today, and there were meetings after meetings after meetings, and they're trying to figure out what's going to make it out of committee and what's going to go further. So thank you, everyone, for attending. We'd like to see you. And what do we always say, Amy?
Say goodbye, Bill.
All right, goodbye, Bill.